20 miles outside Inverness, tucked on the edge of the Scottish Highlands, stands Fairburn Tower. 475 years old, it now lies derelict, roofless, and ravaged by time and weather, little more than a ruin. But historic restoration charity the Landmark Trust is determined to rescue the building and convert it into a place that anyone can rent and stay in. It's summer 2019, and historian and Landmark Trust director Anna Kay has come to assess the scale of the challenge ahead.
What I find just so thrilling about this building is that you come down this little track and suddenly you see it. In that moment, somehow you're transported back in time to the 16th century, and Mary, Queen of Scots, is a baby, and Reformation is sweeping across Europe, and this building has been built to try and express some sort of authority and command over this landscape.
Fairburn Tower was built by a Scottish gentleman, Murdo Mackenzie, probably in the 1540s. It's currently 4 stories high. But the original building consisted of just 3 living spaces built over a basement vault. About 70 years later, the building was significantly enlarged. A separate staircase tower was built onto the side. And a 4th story was added, with ornate decorative turrets.
Buildings like this are so precious, and to think that this structure has stood here on this site for 500 years. These places really matter, and they make us feel something special and important to do with us now and to do with our ancestors, and that we need, if we care about them, to act. And that's what we're going to try and do here. I'm desperate to get this building under scaffolding and get the work underway before another winter comes and all the risks that that will bring.
It's a harsh winter in the Highlands. And then, the COVID pandemic strikes, setting the project back many months. But finally, work on Fairburn Tower can begin. November 2020. A year since she last came here. It's an anxious moment for Anna.
Oh, there it is. Gosh. Each time I've come around this corner and wondered whether a bit of it might have fallen off, because it's always looked so terrible and so imperiled. And now seeing it completely clad in the scaffolding, it just makes your heart lift, because actually work started and we're actually beginning to put it back together again, which we've been trying to get to this moment for years.
With the scaffold in place, work has finally been able to start. And Anna can get to see Fairburn Tower up close. She's meeting Tom Addyman.
Morning.
Historical archaeologist on the project.
How are you doing?
Very well indeed.
Quite chilly, isn't it?
Bit blowy this morning.
Yes. What's it looking like up there?
Slightly concerning, because so much of the stonework is very loose, and there are some stones that are overhanging and bits of walls that are bulging. And so all of that, the concentration now is to get that made safe.
So what should we do? Should we go up?
The scaffold allows Tom and Anna to inspect, for the first time, a huge crack between the staircase tower and the main building.
I can put my fingers in the crack there, but then up here, it's like that. I could get my fist in.
At the 2nd floor level, the problem's even worse.
And now you can see how massive it is. So I can literally pretty much feed my whole body into this crack.
Up at the 4th floor level is a wonderful surprise. Anna's first chance to properly inspect the 16th century turrets known as bartizans.
Oh, look, seeing the bartizans up close.
Absolutely beautiful. It's such a privilege to see them like this.
Isn't that just completely magical?
Bartizans were a popular feature of grand Scottish houses and castles at this period. Decorative turrets to show off the owner's wealth and style. There were once 2 such bartizans back at Fairburn.
We're up at this bartizan here.
So this is obviously the brand shows us what we think was the first building here, or as what was originally built in 1550 or thereabouts, and we know, and then the blue bits are what was added to it. No human eye has sort of seen up this close
Yes, not since it was built.
Not since it
Yes,
was built.
It's incredible.
So how high are we up here, Tom?
Oh, probably 60 or 70 feet now.
Yeah, it feels like it, doesn't it? Wow.
High up.
Yeah.
At the very top, all that remains is the pile of stones that once formed the roof and chimneys.
God, it's beautiful up here, though. Look at it.
Yeah.
Look at the light on the hills.
It is stunning, absolutely stunning.
Absolutely stunning.
It's hard to picture it from the outside, but when the restoration is complete, the top 2 floors will be bedrooms, with a living room on the 2nd floor and a kitchen beneath that. The basement vault will be made secure, but left empty. With the scaffold tower helping to stabilise the whole building,
So we're going in here, are we?
Yes.
it's finally safe again to enter at the level of the kitchen.
It is on the outside quite an austere-looking building, but inside, and you think of the various floor levels, it's such a complicated, sophisticated building, isn't it? With all these different little doorways that lead to little corridors, that lead to windows, that lead to guardrobes, these sort of arched recesses. Something special obviously happened in those. Lookout points and window seats and so on.
The man who built Fairburn Tower, Murdo Mackenzie, was no stranger to sophisticated living. He once worked directly for King James V of Scotland.
This isn't just somebody who's a Highland laird who's just sort of looking after his cattle and kind of stopping his neighbours from pinching them. This is somebody who's used to moving in rather fancier circles.
Yeah. Well, he's come here and he's making a big statement about his new status.
Yeah.
He's been granted these lands, and he has arrived. And this is a great sort of showpiece as well.
Yes.
To show his sophistication to his local peers.
As work continues, there's been an important new delivery for the ornate bartizan turrets.
Spin it round this way and put them together.
Gail Howie is one of the specialist stonemasons.
With restoration work, we try to keep as much of the bartizans as possible, but if they're too far gone, or in this case they are gone, we need to replace as new. And these pallets here are what is going to be taken up onto the scaffold and built onto the bartizans.
Before they can be fixed in place, the smooth surface of the new stones needs to be prepared,
This is what we call roughing up.
using the same technique as 500 years ago.
It allows a slight pocket, which will reduce any sort of movement, and so it'll be a more solid interlocking fit.
The Landmark Trust aim to reuse as much original building material as they can.
It's all reclaimed, yeah, so predominantly Ballachulish slate.
Lovely stuff, isn't it? Look at that.
Yeah.
Restoration Director Steve Lang is overseeing the whole project.
We try and find the best slates that we can, making sure that they're still in good condition.
Either way, for this to find a new building to be on, it's better than it being chucked in a skiff, isn't it? So it's good news.
Yeah, definitely.
Up on the roof, stonemason Andy Taylor is working on the chimneys.
This is the original chimney that the detail for the 2 new chimneys was taken from, so that they all match. And then it will just be pointed up and then rebedded back on the top.
The newly cut blocks are being fitted onto the original stones. And then the restored chimneys get wrapped up against the harsh Scottish weather while the mortar sets.
This is the highest point of the tower that we've been working on. When the weather's good, I'll miss it up here, but when it's terrible, it's better sometimes just to be in the bowels of the scaffold and out the worst of it.
Sometimes nature throws up some unexpected conservation challenges.
These sandbags are here because we have a jackdaw problem. They have lived here for many, many, many years, and they are quite frankly furious we're here. So we can cut off all entrances that they could possibly get into, but they still get in.
A 100 miles to the east is Crathis Castle. Built in 1596, it's a near contemporary of Fairburn and could give a good idea of how Fairburn might once have looked. Now Anna and interiors manager John Evitts have come to see how Scottish tower houses like this were once actually lived in.
It is obviously a bit bigger than Fairburn, but it's not a million miles off in terms of scale standing here, is it? And clearly those bartizans are very comparable to what we've got.
But it's not the outside of the building Anna and John are here to examine.
Let's go and see the ceilings. I like these.
Waiting to meet them is Annie Robertson, a conservation specialist at Crathis.
Hello, Annie. Hi.
How are you?
Yeah, it was very, very well. Gosh, very well, particularly being here. Look at this. This is amazing, isn't it?
Painted ceilings like this were a common feature of grand Scottish houses in the 16th century, and the rooms were much more colourful than we might imagine.
God, these are unbelievable,
Quite
aren't they?
beautiful, aren't they? It's a collection of figures. There are 11 of them, and they're dressed in sort of European Renaissance style.
And what date do you think this is then, this ceiling?
So the ceilings are dated between 1599 to 1602. I don't think we have an exact date on this ceiling.
Yeah, we're in the same kind of
Yes,
period
same era.
ballpark. Yeah.
So that the whole ceiling would have been white, and then the master painter would have come along with a black, and that would have been made from sort of carbon oil like black, and done all the outlines. And then if he was lucky enough to have an apprentice, then the apprentice would have followed on and sort of coloured in, grand colouring in. All of the inscriptions on the beams are, proverbs and quotes from the Bible.
So what's so wonderful in here is that as well as having this amazing survival of these ceiling paintings, but also that you've got this frieze running around on the wall, and actually these tapestries giving you a real sense of this kind of complete decorated interior look, if you like.
I could look at these all day.
It's so interesting for us seeing this, isn't it? Thinking about our rooms at Fairburn.
It is. And I was just looking there and looking at this wonderful bird. I'm just thinking, well, what have we had at Fairburn? We've had trouble with birds. We'd just bring a bit of today to the ceiling.
What you want to avoid is a highly painted ceiling like this, and then it just dying into a whitewashed wall. Because actually this wall, it gives us what the effect would have been originally, which is a painted ceiling, a painted frieze, and then textiles on the wall.
Gosh, these are fantastic tapestries. I should be folding one of these up later.
It's not just the tapestries that have caught John's eye.
Gosh, these are interesting because they look to be almost exactly what we're having at Fairburn. And I suppose you shot out of these windows and then got the light out of the top bit, but you didn't get very much, did you?
No, absolutely. Well, glass was such an expensive commodity, so by having the shutters on the lower half, you could sort of open them up to let the air in, get a good view out, but when they were closed, you still got daylight coming through.
It feels like having been here, seen a building of such a similar date, that we really nailed what we want it to be like there. And suddenly, I'm not worried about the windows not being big enough anymore. And in fact, it makes me feel like really going to town with colour and textiles and furniture on the inside is really going to make that building sing. And that feels like a real step forward.
While Anna and John have been inspecting the interiors at Crathis, building work at Fairburn carries on, starting with a prominent piece of external decoration.
This is our new pediment for the new dormer window on the south elevation, which is up this side. And once we have finalisation on letter, font and everything that we need, it's going to be carved as 2022. It's going to state the date of completion for Fairburn Tower.
But there's a lot to do if they're to hit this ambitious target. And up on the roof, the iconic and crucial bartizans are far from finished.
We have to taper all the sarking boards. There's a fair bit of work involved because you're shaping every bit of timber. So it's really, the principles I don't think have changed in hundreds of years.
It's now July 2021, 18 months since the project started, and Anna is back on site with John.
Looking fantastic, isn't it?
It's just, it's amazing. It's got a roof. Well, nearly.
Yeah.
It's going to be basically completely unrecognisable, isn't it, when this is done? It's not going to look like the same building at all.
No, and I'll tell you what else, it's going to look completely tiny as well.
Being able to actually get up and see the inside is going to be really good.
No, I can't wait to see the inside.
So we're going to have a look in.
John is responsible for all the furnishing and interior decoration. Fairburn is still very much a building site, but even when it's complete, the only way up is what will be a narrow spiral staircase.
Actually, it's rather amazing seeing those few surviving treads up there, isn't it? So I know that the architects are scratching their heads about exactly how getting this staircase back in is going to work. That's what your mattresses have got to go up.
Yeah, it looks easy. It's giving me vertigo looking up.
When the restoration of Fairburn is complete, the top 2 floors will be bedrooms. Beneath that, a living room, and the kitchen under that. The rebuilt narrow staircase tower will be the only access to all 4 living spaces.
So you're telling me that all my furniture has got to come up here?
That's going to have to come up the spiral staircase, yeah.
Most of what I bring up can come up in kit form.
Right.
But beds
Yeah.
are in one piece, mostly.
Yeah.
Your feeling is it's a castle, you know, it's a tower, and you want muscular furniture, and yet you're not going to get muscular furniture up here. So how are we going to get a chest of drawers up? Where are you going to hang your clothes? I think we're just going to have to bring everything up in pieces.
Tell you what you have got in here, though, John, is quite a lot of wall. I think that's going to be one of the few areas in this whole building. You're going to have a big space
Tapestry.
to put tapestry. Oh, I love a tapestry. They're so expensive, though, aren't they?
You always hang a carpet there.
Yes, you could do that.
The newly built internal scaffold allows them to go down to what will be the master bedroom. The major challenge here will be getting the ceiling timbers in.
These are the longest ones. These run this way,
Yeah.
as opposed to the other ones
The
which
other
run
ones go the
that
other
way.
way. Do
So these ones are actually, I'm going to take them in through the bartizan window. It's the only way I can get them in.
Getting a 6-metre-long timber through these little openings will require all of the construction team's ingenuity.
Makes bringing your beds in seem positively straightforward, doesn't it?
Everything here's a challenge.
Talk of the ceiling has prompted the question of how they might decorate the interiors when they're finished.
So one of the things we're thinking about is whether we ought to do a painted ceiling in one of these rooms.
Yeah.
I don't know if Linda mentioned that, but yeah.
But it won't matter on this because this is a bedroom.
Yeah.
So we won't be having decorated ceilings in the bedroom.
You wanted it in the sitting room, wouldn't you, if you were going to do it?
If they are going to paint one of the ceilings, it would be on the floor below, which was probably Murdo Mackenzie's most elaborate living space.
This looks like a fireplace, but it isn't. It's got no flue or anything. It's just a little recess or a little niche in the wall.
Yes.
This would have been used to store, plate, valuable things.
Precious
things, your earrings.
Well, big ears.
The internal scaffold is allowing them access to places previously unseen. And by the old kitchen door, Anna makes a magical discovery.
Oh, isn't it lovely? On the wall, there's masses and masses of graffiti of people's names. Look, 1888. So these must be people who were coming in to see it when it was already abandoned. Victorian visitors. It's not destructive graffiti, this. It's a commemorative graffiti. It's somebody wanting to leave their name on this wall, not to just destroy the place. This is rather beautifully written, this one. The names of all these people who came here and who left their mark. It's rather magical.
How best to preserve the Victorian graffiti is just one of the many challenges remaining about the final completed look of Fairburn's interior.
We've got to really get our heads around what those spaces are actually going to be like. Lots and lots of detailed questions about the finishes, the wall surfaces, and how we're going to make sure that this isn't just a building saved, but actually it's somewhere that you really want to be and feels old and special when you're in it. Because otherwise there's a tiny bit of a risk that we'll put the roof and the floors back in and you'll go in and it'll feel quite modern. And that would be a real disappointment. And getting that right is going to be the art of the whole next stage of the project.
Restoration work started in January 2020 and has been underway for the last 18 months. Now, for the first time in centuries, there's very nearly a roof on the main building. And sawn timbers are being hand-finished to create internal floors and ceilings.
It's Douglas fir we're making them out of, and what we're doing is we're half-checking the beams.
so we can fit flooring in between so you can see a nice finish from underneath. So from the underside you'll have a completely different finish, because I'm cutting them with a machine and then finish them off with a hammer and chisel. So before they were a lot of work and cutting them, 500 years ago.
Work is starting on the spiral staircase, which is also helping to pin the staircase tower back to the main building. With the wooden frame complete, the roof is now ready to be covered with the reclaimed slate tiles. The technique is much the same as when the tower was first built.
Basically, slating's not changed that much anyway, so as you would say, everything's hand cut, and I would take it back in the days it would be done exactly the same as what we are doing just now. Every slate has to be double nailed so they fit correctly around the circumference of the turret.
It'd probably take maybe about 2 to 3 weeks because of all the hard work that you've got to put into it. All the cutting, we'll need a bigger slate actually for that. And then you're always dropping down sizes, and when your cuts get higher up, they get really small. So there's a lot of work that goes into a turret.
Can you spin your ends round so that I can get past this pillar?
And just over a year before the building must be completed, the 6-metre-long floor timbers can now be manhandled into position through the only opening available, the unfinished windows.
Oh, you're right, Craig, sorry.
With the floors and ceilings now almost in place, the team can focus on the internal decoration and style of the building. It's November 2021, almost 2 years since building work began. Anna's back on site to see how things have moved on.
Since I was last here, for the first time in 300 years, 300 years, floors have gone into this building. So my real mission today is to get a sense for the first time of what it's actually going to feel like to be in that building once it's restored.
With site manager Chris, Anna can now see how people who stay here will actually enter the building.
Goodness, look at that. What a work of art that is. So this is the reforming of the staircase, but what we're doing here is we are doing it in concrete, because each step has got to be formed within the building. You can't kind of build it up from the walls and the stair at the same time, because obviously the walls are here. And it has to be done in a way where each step is purpose-made and where it acts as a kind of strengthening on the tower itself, which has got some really big cracks in it.
For now, the scaffold is the only way up to the first floor, as the staircase itself is very much a work in progress.
Wow, look at it. Amazing. So I'm now standing on top of the bit that I was in before, where we were in the forest of timbers at the entrance. And this is completely, completely new. All of this has just gone in.
Have you been inside to see?
Yeah, I've seen it from underneath.
Right.
Can I stand on there?
Yes, you can walk up it.
Little
You're
tiny
safe there,
step.
you're fine.
Amazing. But all that comes out afterwards, doesn't
All
it?
this timber comes out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's just holding the kind of it while you form the steps.
Yes, drag it to the very top.
What a thing of beauty it is that you're forming here. You must have been good at maths at school, getting all these angles right.
I never went to school.
The stairs are making good upward progress, so Anna can head to the roof to check on the bartizans.
Because obviously that's all the original stonework, and that's our new bits of stone on there, all beautifully matched together. Yes, we've had to put one course of stones on there, but otherwise everything else was there.
Up at the very top, the magic of the bartizan turrets is coming back to life.
They were then, and they are now, the stuff of fantasy, really. Because they've captured the imagination of generations of people since, the Victorians putting it on their Scottish baronial buildings, but also right through to the sort of Walt Disney fantasy castles of the 1950s and 60s. It's a feature that's very familiar to us, but not familiar in its original form, which is on a 16th century tower house.
Happy with the progress on the bartizans, it's back down 2 levels to what will be the living room.
So this is the room where we're hoping to put our painted ceiling in. So you might be looking at this and being a bit surprised that these ceiling joists aren't oak, that they're made of pine. But there's a reason for that, which is in this part of the world, in the north of Scotland, these buildings were often built of pine, either from Scotland or sometimes imported from Scandinavia. So it's actually the right material to be using here.
Local timber was almost certainly the wood used by the builder of Fairburn, Murdo Mackenzie, who was granted the land here by none other than King James V of Scotland. In the royal castle at Stirling, Mackenzie worked for King James as groom of the bedchamber. It was an intimate and important job, where he would have helped to shave and dress the king, and even slept right next to the royal bed. So Mackenzie would have known Stirling's ornate interiors well, and when it came to building his own little castle at Fairburn, he may well have wanted to recreate something of this grand style, with its ornate painted ceiling and handcrafted details. The Landmark Trust are on a quest to be as historically accurate as possible, and 150 miles south in Dundee, a specialist joinery company is making a complete set of 25 windows for the tower. Based on original 16th century designs, no two are the same shape or size, requiring precision measurement and cutting. The glass and lead work is then done separately, off-site.
The windows have just come back from the man that glazed them because they're the old-fashioned leaded glass. The boys made a great job of it. He was a dying trade, I think, getting this done. The guy did the lead work for us. I think he's 70. I think the client will be very happy with it. Better luck, most of these will go shite next week.
A few weeks later, each hand-finished window fits perfectly into its allotted opening. The pediment showing the hoped-for completion date is now set in stone, so there's no room for delay. The exterior is being covered in a render known as harling, and it's getting a traditional lime wash covering. A bold heritage pink, based on colours used on similar 16th century buildings in Scotland.
We used a red pigment, a yellow pigment, and a brown pigment to come up with this colour. It'd be very stand out from the environment it is, which I think is a good thing. It's like a landmark.
For the first time in perhaps 250 years, Fairburn Tower is finally weatherproof. The next step is to furnish it. John Evitts is in rural Dumfries and Galloway.
I'm going to go and visit a friend of mine called Tom, who's a sheep farmer who buys furniture from local houses when nobody's looking.
He's on the hunt for antique furniture for the kitchen and living room at Fairburn.
Good Lord, look at all of this. I mean, if we're going to do a Scottish tower, we might as well use Scottish furniture if we can possibly find it. Morning, Tom.
Hello, John.
How are you doing?
John's hoping that the pieces he needs might be hiding somewhere in Farmer Tom's huge stock of piled-up antiques. The challenge is to spot them.
So what do you got?
Well, we'll try and find something, John.
That's a wonderful bit of walnut. That's really nice. Crikey, what was that? Was that an artist's easel? Holy moly!
Tom also has a couple of pieces that he's set aside for John to look at.
Got anything else?
Right, we'll have a look over here, John. Look over to your left
Holy moly, what's all that doing out there?
Not much.
Why on earth do you put it out there?
That's a nice day.
It's just completely unbelievable that... I mean, he is completely bonkers. I mean, some of it is getting a wonderful colour. OK, Tom, what's this?
Well, it's quite an early oak base, John.
I just quite like these mouldings here and
yes,
this detailing through here. I want it to be under 1200.
If the furniture has the right authentic feel, John's not averse to adapting it.
I'm going to get it cut and shut to a two-door cupboard, and I'm going to use it in the kitchen at Fairburn. As long as I can get it to the restorer fairly quickly before it sits out here any longer, Tom. And what's this over here?
This is turning out to be a fruitful visit. John's having a field day.
I mean, that is fantastic.
I think that's quite a rare survivor, John.
Yeah, I do too. I like it very much. So you took the back panels off because they weren't original?
On the bottom there, yes.
What about this?
I know they're nice boards on the bottom there, John.
How do you think I'm ever going to get them flat?
Well, it's showing a bit of character. I mean, I thought that's what Landmark was about.
All right. OK, Tom. Thank you. Well, look, I'll go and get the van. Might as well put it on. What is so special about my business, jeepers creepers, is the fact that you go to wonderful places. You see extraordinary things like this. I'm wrapping this piece of furniture which has been stored in fantastically hermetically controlled circumstances. And you meet people who have become genuine friends over the years, and I honestly couldn't want to do anything else.
Good things turn up in strange places, John. That's been my experience of the antique trade. See you, John.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye now.
John may have bought plenty of furniture, but he has to pray it all fits. And there's still that spiral staircase to negotiate. Back at Fairburn Tower, the race is on to turn what still looks like a building site into a place that people will soon be able to rent. And in the first floor living room, artist Paul Mowbray is just starting work on the painted ceiling.
Round about this period, the paintings are quite rustic, quite basic. It's not highly detailed, it's there for effect.
Starting with a set of stenciled images and lettering, Paul charcoals the outlines on the ceiling and can then get to work painting.
The skill comes into the use of the paint and the modelling, the shading, etc.
It'll take Paul 9 weeks working on a scaffold platform to complete this ceiling.
It's very time-consuming, certainly. I need probably a little therapeutic massage after working above my head for such long hours.
The restoration of Fairburn Tower has been ongoing for almost 3 years. But in just over 2 months' time, it needs to be ready to open its doors and welcome its first visitors. 16th century Fairburn Tower needs to be open to visitors to stay in just a few weeks' time.
If you just turn around, we'll do it that way.
Landmark Trust interior specialist John Evitts is racing to get the rooms finished and ready for guests.
To you, to me.
He has a van load of furniture to manhandle up the narrow spiral staircase with his assistant Rob.
God, I hope it fits when we get it there.
Starting with the bottom half of a piece he bought in Farmer Tom's field.
I'm not taking it downstairs again, that's for sure.
The base fits in fine.
That's amazing.
But the top is a couple of inches too wide. Traditional extreme measures are called for.
What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to cut these overhangs off here, and then that'll fit in the alcove then. All right.
Deep breath.
One more, give it one more push. Now, if you want luck, that's luck. I think that looks fantastic.
John's final task is to fit the wall hangings in the sitting room.
I was quite inspired by Crathy's and how they had wall hangings in the rooms which just made them look so much warmer and also presumably kept out the draft. We couldn't run to wall hangings, but what I did was I found this fabric. I mean, it's lovely, thick stuff. Of course, it isn't a 17th century tapestry, but it gives a feeling, doesn't it, of being hung with material. There we are. Yeah, this is the effect I wanted. I mean, I'm very, very pleased with it. It's certainly the grand space, isn't it now?
With a few more historical flourishes, Fairburn will be ready for its first inhabitants in over 200 years. 3 years ago, Fairburn Tower was a crumbling ruin. It had fallen into serious disrepair. With no internal floors or stairs, it was on the verge of collapse.
I can literally feed my whole body into this crack.
But the Landmark Trust invested £2 million in a bid to save it. Using traditional crafts and skills, bit by bit, the tower came back to life. It's autumn 2022, and finally Anna Kay is here for one last inspection, and her very first chance to see Fairburn's completed interiors.
It really is something to behold now, standing here. You have to remind yourself of what we were looking at just a few years ago, a building that then had no roof, no windows, no floors, no harling on the outside, so it was just the bare stone, and this great series of horrifying cracks running up the front of it, such that when I used to come here, every time I would be really worried coming around the corner that a big chunk would have fallen off or one of these bartizans would have come down. And now it just looks, I mean, it almost looks unrecognisable. It's kind of, you have to kind of clock what we've done here. And the scale of it, even though I've been part of it every step of the way, just takes my breath away. The pink is great, isn't it? John was worried it was a bit too pink, but I just don't think you can be too pink. And looking at it against the grey sky, it's just fantastic. It looks like a dream, seeing it standing there. It's still got the lovely aura of age and beauty and patina about it. Before it had these amazing cracks. I mean, you can't even see them now at all because the stonework's covered up. But I mean, right above almost all the windows, major windows and doors, we had these huge cracks. And then here, right on the corner, the staircase tower, which is a bit later, 100 years later than this bit, was opening up, was moving away from the earlier building.
The magic fix for this once ruinous stair tower is in the steps themselves.
So this amazing concrete staircase is actually one of the massive achievements of this project, because of course when we first came here this was just an open, almost like a chimney, because the stairs had all been stolen, taken out centuries ago. And the remaking of this was an absolute labour of love, and the guys who did it were geniuses. So as they poured each step of the concrete, every few steps had a rod in it that goes into the fabric of the tower. So it's like a great sort of spiral of metal that is actually pinning the building back together.
At last, Anna can now see for the very first time the rooms that John has redecorated in traditional style.
Hi, John.
Oh, hi, Anna.
Ah! Oh, my goodness.
What do you think?
It's oh my, I'm speechless. I'm speechless.
That's
John, it
good.
looks
We like that.
amazing.
3 years ago, where Anna and John are now standing was just an open space inside 4 broken walls. Every single surface, especially the painted ceiling, has since been completely transformed.
The ceiling looks absolutely tremendous, doesn't it?
It is extraordinary.
Here he is. That's nice to see him there, isn't it, James V?
Yeah.
This is a lovely thing, this cork cupboard, John. Where did that come from?
It came from a field in Dumfries. It was a perfect fit until the alcove got plastered.
Oh, yes, I can see. So that's a pretty tight joint in there, isn't it?
Well, should we go and look at the bedroom?
Yeah, lead on.
So this is the bedroom.
Oh, it's lovely, isn't it? Gosh, I tell you what's really nice is actually it is really light in here, even though, you know, obviously the windows are small because that's what 17th century windows were like. John, it's brilliant that we've got an actual bit of, you know, historic tapestry here on the wall.
I like the little castle up here.
Yes.
Even Murdo Mackenzie's little valuables store has been kept intact.
It's very nice, isn't it? Those doors on the Aumbrys are a lovely thing. I'm really glad that it's been part of it, so people can keep their passports in there.
Well, their food.
Mice enjoy it.
There's nowhere else to put it. Here we are, top floor.
3 years ago, the top room of the tower, with its ruined bartizans, was completely open to the elements.
It's great, isn't it? Actually, I thought it would be darker than this.
It's lighter than you think. We're getting plenty of light in off the bartizans,
Yes,
aren't we?
it's so exciting being able to go in here, isn't it? There's magical little spaces. You can sit here, read some Highland poetry. Because you can see right out to sea. It's absolutely lovely. Actually, it's a really nice place for reading the old stonework and the new here, isn't it? Here's the old stone, and this was the top of the building when we came along, and then this is the replacement pieces to get the top edge of the stonework complete. And of course, in here, it's within those amazing pointy pepper pot roofs that the boys did such an incredible job on recreating. What a thing to achieve.
It's very, very difficult now to imagine how it was.
2 years ago, this was the only bit that had a floor, which was this deep in twigs and bird droppings and everything. There was nothing above us. We just looked up floor upon floor of, where there had been floors of great open space and bare stone walls. I mean, you just would never have believed it was possible.
The building project has lasted almost 3 years. But finally, Fairburn Tower, this mighty little 16th century tower house, is ready to open its doors.
So there it is, done. Very pink and proud in the landscape, visible for miles around. And saved, and that's really the thing about these projects, because they're not just renovation projects, they're about saving buildings that would otherwise be lost. And if ever there was a building that looked like it was on the verge of collapse, it was Fairburn. You could see it. You didn't have to be a structural engineer to look at that building and to know that its days were absolutely numbered. So it feels like an amazing achievement. Stand here after years of work, support from craftspeople, donors, architects, everybody you could imagine, to actually effect this rescue and to get a piece of our past into the sort of condition that means it will be here for another 500 years.